Max Verstappen's recent appearances at the Red Bull Racing headquarters are starting to look less like fireside chats and more like triage sessions. He's been walking through the garages, signing gear, having private coffee with crew members. But the fear is setting in. Frontline staff sense the entire operation might be unraveling. The question on everybody's lips: does the team still deserve the driver, or has the driver moved on mentally?
Max Verstappen's Formula One future has now been locked down. He will stay at Red Bull for 2026. After months of speculation surrounding what the four-time world champion would do next year, having been strongly linked to Mercedes, the story has reached the end of the line for now, and it's clear he's going nowhere.
Max Verstappen has been at the Red Bull factory.
He'll be there just to reassure his engineers and to show his face to the staff that he's still committed, at least for the short term. We don't know what his long-term plans are.
At first glance, Verstappen's contract appears immovable through 2028, reportedly paying him around $55 million a year. But there's a hidden clause that rings like a ticking clock. If Red Bull fails to finish in the top 3 in the Constructors Championship, or if Verstappen drops below second in the drivers' standings mid-season, he can invoke a release that legally frees him from the team. With Red Bull currently sitting 4th and Max positioned 3rd, that clause has turned into his own escape hatch. When Christian Horner was suddenly ousted just days after the British Grand Prix, the method felt jarring. No farewell, no racing tribute, just an internal memo. Horner constructed Red Bull Racing's DNA over 2 decades, 8 drivers' titles, 6 Constructors Championships, and a global sporting phenomenon. The lack of ceremony suggested the board was making existential changes, and Horner's exit was only the beginning. Behind the scenes, F1 insiders report Horner is in negotiations to acquire a stake in Alpine, not as a hired boss, but as a partial owner. That matters because Alpine is set to switch to Mercedes power units in 2026, exactly when Horner's non-compete expires and Max's contract conditions would be re-evaluated. A Horner-led Alpine powered by Mercedes, backed by Gulf funding, possibly housing Verstappen at the wheel. That's swiftly evolving from rumor into plausible blueprint. Alpine's valuation is nearing $1 billion, after 24% was acquired in 2023 by Ryan Reynolds' OMGX consortium. Further investment talks have focused on credibility, leadership, and brand star power. Horner sits in the sweet spot for all 3. Gulf state money, Saudi, Bahrain, Qatar, is actively looking for asset class teams, not just drivers for race sponsorship. They're looking for legacy. Questions around Red Bull's internal strategy have grown everywhere. The idea of renaming the team to Max Bull Racing is real, an acknowledgement that Verstappen's persona has become bigger than the brand. It's unprecedented in F1. Teams like Mercedes and Ferrari were built on infrastructure, history, not a single driver's brand. But Red Bull sees no choice. Losing Max would be existential. Keeping him even by renaming the team hints at diminished identity. Whispers of a secret meeting between Toto Wolff and Verstappen in Sardinia just before the British GP only amplify the volatility. Wolff isn't just Mercedes' principal. He's a recruiter and strategist. Reports suggest Mercedes offered more than raw speed. They pitched team vision, respect, and a clear future path. Verstappen reportedly wanted stability and influence, not just a fast car. The human side of this story is compelling. Max recently became a father. His mindset is shifting. Racing into your late 30s, or worse, fighting for vehicle upgrades in a midfield team, may feel like diminishing returns. Hamilton at 39, Alonso at 43, they endure. But at what cost? Max may be thinking about sustainability, about family, about legacy in a deeper way. Red Bull's future becomes even riskier when you look at 2026. They plan to debut as a full engine manufacturer with Ford branding. On paper, innovation. In reality, internal sources report failed track tests, design resets, and morale collapse. Against Mercedes, Ferrari, and Renault's decades of engine experience, Red Bull becomes the rookie. That doesn't align with Max's competitive DNA. Consider this: 96% of Red Bull's points in 2024 came from Verstappen. His teammates' combined total barely eclipsed single-digit points. That's not dominance, that's dependency. What's more telling, Red Bull reportedly considered putting Max's name on the team to show how transferable his value is. When your driver becomes bigger than your infrastructure, you're not a team, you're a brand experience. Here's where it gets critical. If Horner joins or leads Alpine, bringing the engineering DNA and leadership skills that won championships, and if Verstappen follows, the implications would be seismic. Red Bull loses its architect behind the scenes. Alpine inherits continuity, leadership, and potentially the best driver in the field. Mercedes engines, Gulf state investors, and Verstappen's global image supercharge Alpine into title contention. The team built on building a dynasty, then spotting talent, may have just built their own successor and given her a new chassis. The rest of the F1 paddock is watching. Leaked comments on Reddit and internal forums are split. Some fans question Red Bull's internal ethics. Others claim Cam and Mahe-style shameless honesty reflects public frustration. Reddit chatter said, if Cam and Mahe criticizing Horner is hater energy, then Red Bull wobbled architecture is equally embarrassing. That kind of public awareness marks the moment when legacy morphs into fragility. What are the possible outcomes? Verstappen stays at Red Bull, rebuilds car development, becomes the stabilizing force, but still masks internal collapse. Follow Horner to Alpine, become face of a rising team, redefine what legacy looks like in F1. Stay but demand full control over operations, risking a hostage deal with Red Bull or the team fracturing into factionalism. In 2026, after the regulation changes, if Alpine backs Horner with financial muscle and delivers Mercedes engines, they're not an underdog, they're the next challenger. Red Bull may quiver as their superstar walks away with the architecture of power, leaving a broken remnant behind. The only thing clearer than what's happened is what's about to unfold. Red Bull built its empire on disruption, rebellion, and risk. Now they're facing a threat not from rival teams, but from internal collapse. Horner may follow the strategy franchise. Verstappen may no longer fight for a team, but build one. Investors may pivot to people, not parts. The next championship contender may start not at Milton Keynes or Woking, but in the business office. What Red Bull threatens to lose may be more than race wins. It may be relevance, influence, and identity. If you think Max can save Red Bull, or if you think he'll step into a broader legacy at Alpine or Mercedes, sound off. Remember to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because the next chapter of Formula One may rewrite the rules entirely.